Hi, my name is Mitch with Farmblox. We're making your farm more efficient through the use of monitoring and automation. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the Farmblox base station. You're going to want to do this before you set up any monitors on the Farmblox system. When you purchased the Farmblox base station, you chose either a Wi-Fi enabled base station or a cellular enabled base station. This video is going to cover the general aspects that pertain to both of those base stations. Anything specific to those variants of the base station will be created in separate videos that we'll link in the description. So I'd recommend going and watching those in addition to this video. By the end of this video, you're going to be able to find an optimal location for your base station. You're going to know how to mount the base station to wherever you decide to mount it, and you're going to be able to set it up in the application. So when you open up the Farmblox base station box, you're going to be presented with a few different things. First is the power, right? This is going to be split up into a few different components that you'll plug in together, just like any normal power supply. Then there's the base station. There's 3 antennas, two antennas for the cellular coverage, and then 1 antenna for connecting your base station to the monitors. And then lastly, there's mounting hardware. So you have these 3 white components, which we'll cover a little bit later on how to put together and mount your base station, as well as hardware for putting those components together. For attaching the antennas to the base station, the white antennas, which are for cellular coverage, will go into the ports labeled LTE. So you'll screw these in. These should be hand tight. And then for the port labeled LoRa, that's where you'll plug in the antenna which connects your base station to the monitors. Now at the bottom, the second port, or the middle port, is for power. So you'll plug the power supply into this. Right? You'll plug it in and screw it in, again, hand tight. There's no need to crank it down. The port to the left of it is for network access. So if you are using the Wi-Fi base station, that's where you'll plug into the network. We'll cover that in more detail in the Wi-Fi setup instructions, which will be linked in the description below. Now that you've assembled your base station, it's time to mount it. For the mounting components, there are 3 main parts. First is the part that mounts it to whatever location you're trying to put it on. You're going to want to do this first, once you identify a location that you want to put it, and screw it in so that you can reach the screw holes. The second is the component that goes on the back of the base station. So if we put the base station over, you'll see 4 holes for bolts to go into, which will attach this. Okay. And it'll attach like this. And the last component combines the 2 of these. It attaches the 2 of these together. So, in this sort of fashion, you can attach these components together. And this will allow you to control the angle and the pitch of the base station. The reason you might want to be able to do that is so that you can make these antennas vertical. They need to be vertical for optimal coverage across your farm. Right? So whatever adjustments you need to make, do make those accordingly to fit those criteria. Alright, this is what the fully assembled mounting bracket will look like. Once you've mounted the back plate to the base station, this end will be attached to whatever surface you're mounting it on. Now, once you tighten these 2 bolts, this one and this one, it'll lock into place. But until then, you'll have the ability to control the pitch and the angle of the system in order to make the antennas vertical. Right? And when you're ready to tighten them in place, just tighten them as you would. For placing the base station in an optimal location, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. The first is that all the monitors connect directly to the base station, right, using this antenna. So it's not using a mesh network. So wherever you place this base station, you want it to be in a high location so that you get good line of sight coverage to the monitors. Now, by line of sight coverage, usually trees and buildings will not impact this, but geographically, that's what you're looking for. So placing it at the top of a silo, on the top of a house, or at the top of a ridge line, provided you can run power and have cellular coverage to it, is the most ideal scenario. Additionally, you can place multiple of these base stations throughout your operation, and the monitors will connect to whichever one is closest. And lastly, if you have a neighbor that also uses the Farmblox system, you guys can share a network in order to maximize coverage on both of your farms. If you have any questions regarding coverage, feel free to shoot us an email at support@farmblox.ag, and we would be happy to help you. The last step of the install process is to install the base station in the Farmblox app. So in order to do this, what you'll need to do is open the app, and after you're done setting up your account, go to the Devices tab, and you'll click on Base Stations. Under Base Stations, you'll click Add New, and you'll need to give it a name. So we'll call this one Station 1. After that, we'll click Scan. Right? And at this point, you'll tap your phone to the tag that's located on the keychain at the bottom of your base station. Right? And then it should automatically install itself. Now on mine, you'll see that it says it's installed and active. This will only show up if it's plugged in and connected to the network. Right? So it might not immediately show this if you haven't hooked up your base station and mounted it and powered it yet. If you run into any issues, feel free to shoot us an email at support@farmblox.ag, and we'd be happy to help you.